Passion Harvest. Hello, passionate listeners. Welcome to Passion Harvest. Thank you for making me a part of whatever you're doing right now. My name is Louisa, your host, International Passion Ambassador, and welcome to Passion Harvest. I have a very exciting guest today on the show, and if you like this episode, please subscribe. I can't wait to dive right in. It's going to be a juicy one. My guest today is Sheehan. Jean has a gift that enables her to see within the body as clear as an MRI. In fact, Jean was nicknamed the walking, talking MRI. She chose to become a nurse so she could be in close contact with people emotionally, physically, mentally, and from heart. And she documented case studies so as to have a scientific proof that anything was possible in the game of health. With so many requests to teach medical intuition, Jean created the first accredited medical intuitive course, which is now recognized in 26 countries. Jean has a passion for breaking limits and rules when it comes to people living their best life. She has 5 Amazon best-selling books. Congratulations, by the way. The world's first and only medical intuitive oracle cards, has accredited medical intuitive courses and her own teaching modality. As a leader in the field and keynote speaker, Jean mentors health professionals, parents, teachers, and corporations on how to shine their brilliance. I love that. Through help using leading edge techniques. Jean has designed and developed a revolutionary understanding of health and her own registered modality, which complements Western medicine. Jean's methods are revolutionary and transformational. This is her story and this is her passion. Jean, welcome to Passion Harvest.
Louisa, thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure. It's taken us a while to get together, but I'm so excited that you're on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I always like to give a bit of a personal story or background for people that don't know about you, and I'm sure many do because you're incredible, but how a lot of people just want to know a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today in the concept of time in this interview.
So how far back do you want me to go, Louisa?
I don't know. I think sort of potentially some milestones that changed your life. I know you mentioned that your mother died when you were 16, and I guess, yes, potentially the pivotal moments that made you who you are today.
Sure. Maybe if I share some of the things that people seem to get curious about.
Yes, please.
Especially that thing of, what do you mean Jean's a walking, talking MRI? What does that mean? So yes, born with the ability to see inside the body, anatomy, cells, the whole lot. I'm actually a Greek Arabic, so I was born in Kuwait, and that was a total no-no. Like that was just not acceptable, seen as evil, demonic. So I didn't learn it that it was an actual gift. I didn't know what to do with it, and it wasn't spoken at home. At the age of 5, we immigrated to Australia, and my biggest struggle was not so much like interpreting what the body's saying, but learning this thing called English and reading English, and then being able to communicate, well, how do I explain what I see in that person walking past? Because children can be really open and say, Mummy, that lady's fat. Mummy, that person's going to die, which don't really go well in my culture or just generally. People don't like it. So
you've always had the ability to see inside other people?
Always. I didn't understand it, and I do not call myself psychic, clairvoyant, or any of those sort of things because I don't understand those words. I just see it as like you can see my blonde hair. I can see inside the body as clear as that. It's just a sight. It's not anything for me, not anything special.
It's kind of amazing, by the way. I've got a lot of questions to ask you, but I just, aside from like, I'm thinking, oh my God, now you're looking at me. But aside from that, I'm thinking, can you switch it off and on? Like if you're walking down the street, that would be hard.
So if I give the pivotal moment, because that will answer that question, and everyone says, oh my God, is she looking at me right? And so, what's going on? Always that thing. So I always try to make it calm. So because I see that way from birth, it's like looking at, your beautiful gold picture behind. Everyone can see that. It's okay. I see inside, I see outside. It's all the same. So keeping it all quiet at home. It wasn't until age 16. My mum died on Christmas Day. She had bowel and liver cancer, and I was quite upset that why couldn't Western medicine see what I could see? Why weren't they helping it? Look, the body is talking, but how do I explain it? I didn't have a medical background. I could describe it in detail, but who do I tell? So from that moment, I thought I have to do something. So I decided to become a nurse. But at age 16, when mum died, I became homeless. And then that taught me another aspect of health, which was actually the mind. There was the physical, the chemical, but the mind. So I needed to understand like potentiality, that everything's possible. Find somewhere to sleep, find how to eat. All
At
those
16, that's a great challenge.
So I got into nursing, which was great. It was to appease two parts of me. My right brain is ferociously woo-woo, crazy, seeing all sorts of things inside the body and sacred geometry. And then my left brain is very scientific. I needed answers. So I was like having a battle inside myself. And as a nurse, I thought when I was watching mamas dying, it was the nurses that were with the patients the whole time. That's why I chose nursing, not a doctor. So I was with the patients as they spoke, as they took their temperature and blood pressure and all the basic things, took them to the shower. I would watch. What they said was not aligning with what's happening in their body, what the tests the doctors were looking for weren't aligning. Nothing was aligning properly for that holistic approach. So I started doing case studies of what was happening, not invasion of privacy of patients. That was the number one priority, but just to go, okay, I can see that. I wonder if that, and is that going to happen or whatever? And sure enough, it did align. I needed more. So I went into pathology, which is taking the blood samples and the body parts and everything down to laboratory, looking under a microscope so that I could quantify what I could see microscopically was what I could see microscopically. So as we took your skin part or part of the eye or whatever it was that we took from that person, or blood or urine, etc., under the microscope, I could see identical. And then I went into autopsies. Didn't last that long, but I needed just to do that final quantifying for myself of what I see in the body and the positioning of everything is exactly the same as when we cut a patient open. It's exactly the same. So that was enough appeasing my left brain and doubt, and to marry up the both. And then that question you have of, she's looking inside me.
Yes.
I can't hold this back anymore. I was suicidal. That was another pivotal time. And I was suicidal. I knew how to do it. I was a nurse. I had the glass of water, the pills. I knew which ones to do, to bump myself up, because I went, I can't hold this back. What do I do with it? And I thought about my 3-year-old son at that stage. He's now an adult. And thought, I can't leave him like my mum did. I have to break through. And so I started telling nursing girlfriends. And I'd say, oh, let's go do a coffee and cigarette. Because that's time I did have smokes and coffee, and everyone could smoke and have coffee everywhere.
Yes.
So I'd say, oh, let's pretend it's you, Louisa. Louisa, so how's your cappuccino? Oh, great, Jean. Louisa, you know those headaches you've been getting when your hormones are thing and blah, blah, and I'd start telling minute details that you never shared. You could see the person's mouth just drop to the floor, and I went, just keep going, go for it, just say it, just say it. And it was just the most amazing blessing of my nursing girlfriends would say, what the fudge? How did you know it? What are you doing? Are you a psychic? What's going on? And I just said, this is what it is. And from that door it was, people kept saying, can you do private sessions? Can you teach it? And it just opened Pandora's box. So can I see all the time? Yes. Walking down the street, walking at the beach. I live on the Sunshine Coast at Noosa, walking along the beach. I'm seeing the beach, I'm seeing the person, I'm seeing inside the person. I'm seeing inside the animals, the dogs on the beach. But I just don't see it as a bad thing. If someone's got cancer, I don't run up and say, oh my God, you got cancer. Because they may not die of cancer. That was a learning lesson in my 20s, that what they might have may not kill them. That we've all got diseases in the body, but it doesn't mean that we're going to die of it. That person might go to Fiji and a coconut drops in their head and they die of that one.
Yeah.
The disease, the biggest thing of my case studies was The disease is a story. So when you go to the GP and they find out your history, Louisa, have you had breast cancer? No. Has your mother had breast cancer? They're finding a story. There's a story in the body, and disease is a story, high story, history. And so part of teaching was find a story, and then the body can actually heal itself with a little bit of assistance and awareness and guidance. Does it mean medication? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Lifestyle change? Definitely yes. But find the story. What's the story? So, yeah, so looking at people, I can see the stories, but until they ask me, I don't actually say, oh my God, look what's inside you. That would just scare them. Absolutely scare them. So, yeah, so pivotal times were defining moments, but really gave me the kick to go, to just jump. So breaking barriers of culture, of being a female in my Arabic culture, it's not the done thing for women to shine their brilliance and be out there and expose. That took me on a journey of, right, I've got to help people if it's working so well. How else can I do it? That led to keynote speaking on cruise ships, which I'm not doing at the moment, but on cruise ships. Can we have this info? Oh my God, what, write a book? I can hardly even write English. I still have spelling mistakes and get tricked on English words and things. So I decided to write my first book in 30 hours. And then I wrote 2 books in 5 days. I want to write 5 books in 5 days. So I keep looking at how can I use the body to access potentiality, which is different. So that's my journey of what I do, but it's not about just sickness. It's what's the body saying? How come people repeat the pattern of losing money, not getting a great job, having migraines all the time? Whatever it is, it's just a story. We can change the story, and the body talks. You own one thing, the body. So that's my journey.
Wow. Well, thank you. First of all, congratulations for, all that you've achieved and for, speaking about that so openly and honestly, number one.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I've got a few questions. So I guess we'll start with the last one because that's what my brain first remembers. But the story, and I love how you call it dis-ease because it's dis-ease within the body. We say disease, but the dis-ease. When we talk about the story, and I don't know if you have the belief that we have other lives. Is this our only life?
Yes, no. See, this is where it's a little bit crazy.
Okay.
Yes, I see other lives. So whether you want to call them past, future,
yes, present, whatever,
dimensional, whatever. I love all the quantum stuff. I love all of that. When I looked into the body, I actually noticed that the body doesn't understand if it's in a past life, past lives. It's patterning, and the dis-ease was actually patterning. So was it at 3 years old that the child was told, no, you can't have ice cream? And then the body links into the word, no, you can't have, which is it a past life? Is it a now? So quite often dis-ease doesn't have a time zone either. So it's not locked into an age or just a past life. It's everything in the quantum reality.
Right. That was my question. So the dis-ease that can result in sickness, it's not necessarily from this life. It can be from other lives. It's almost like it's embedded within our structure, our DNA or our cells.
Got it.
Soul. Is that what you're?
Yeah. So
belief?
On a science level, for me, it was DNA, not the RNA, which is like original cell, and it's the DNA. So DNA makes sure that I've got curly hair, brown eyes, etc. So it's like a patterning, and DNA is a patterning. It's just like keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. But where did it originally come from? It's almost, I explain when I give lectures at this at corporations and university and things, I say it's like, imagine all this space around us, which we want to call Earth, the universe, call it soup, quantum soup. And in the soup, I'm going to pluck out my soup a bit of carrot, a bit of a past life from when I was a witch in medieval days, and a bit of the future where I'm an alien from the 17th dimension. It's like you can just grasp it and it becomes us, but it doesn't define who we are. Whereas people will talk disease and say, oh, I'm good, but I've got a bad back. They define themselves by the bad back rather than, I'm great, I'm experiencing a bad back. So
Oh,
it could
I
be
love that.
anywhere.
And so it's interesting. It's yes, as you said, this soup was a great analogy. It's altered lives, past lives, other realms, whatever you'd like to call it, but it is also from our ancestral genetic lineage
Yes,
as well.
yes. It could be a patterning from mother's mother.
Mm.
Didn't have breast cancer, but breast about nurture, nourish. She'd never nurtured, nourished herself, which was then taught sublingually, subconsciously down the pattern until it got to my mum who had breast cancer, and then me, and then possibly my daughter. That where did it come from, or how come? I'll give an actual example.
Yeah.
My oldest son was born with a lot of medical surgical problems. I knew whilst I was pregnant with him. I couldn't say anything at the time, but all his conditions, none of them are in any family history. Where did he get those from? So he plucked out of the quantum soup a bit of this and a bit of that, and then one of those, and I had some of that. It linked into some past lives he needed to clear, some future stuff, and his own personal experience of, right, as soon as you come into the world, you're going straight to intensive care because you're a sick little bubby. So it's like, well, there's ancestral, but did he then create a new ancestral lineage? It's just so much fun.
Oh my God, it is. And you already answered one of my questions. It's kind of personal, but I guess my question was, can you see inside your own body?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Is that a good thing?
I don't. Yes, I know.
Sometimes I will look at myself and say, are you serious? Did you create that? Why did you create that? And so I'll examine on, well, why is that happening? What's the benefit of that? So for me, dis-ease or ease, whatever's happening in the body, there's a bonus and a benefit. But that's not taught in Western medicine or health. We don't say, oh my gosh, congratulations, you've got bowel cancer. That's amazing.
Yes,
Until
I'm
they
not
meet
laughing.
Jean. Well, until I meet Jean and I'm lecturing, and I said, that's fantastic. Oh my God, you've lost your job and you've got bowel cancer. That's amazing. What is wrong with you, Jean? No. The body's talking. Let's have a look. We create it. We can uncreate it. We can change the patterning, the DNA. Come on, let's go. But then why do some people die, some don't? Because there's a bonus of, if that person dies, there's actually a healing process for so many around. But our human part has a huge experience of pain and loss, which I don't wish upon anyone. And I don't say, oh my God, that's great, you died, either. It's just when you understand the body and what it's capable of and what a gift things are, it's like, oh my gosh. And then health would change.
It is. Yes, that fabulous saying. I think my yoga teacher said it once, my body, my teacher, which.
Yes.
So obviously, well, in our unconscious state, no one wants to get sick. No one wants to have disease, but the disease is created by, as you mentioned, plucking things from soup, a holistic approach, and our thoughts and belief structure or pattern.
Yeah, I say, it's a balance of physical,
and lifestyle, of course.
That chemically I'm going to just live on a brown sugary fizzy drink without naming names, or high sugar can lead to, besides diabetes on a chemical level, bowel cancers and candida and moodiness, and there's a whole whack of things. But what about the mental thing? Why am I gravitating to the sugary drink? Is life not sweet? Why do I need the caffeine from that drink? Am I not feeling souped up? Am my cortisol levels so low in the adrenal glands that I have the caffeinated drink that goes bing? So that's why that's also that balance of that whole big picture, which the word medical means what's the big holistic picture, and then intuition is that spontaneous insight that everyone has. Everyone's got intuition. It's like, even though the GPS says go left and you think, I might go right. I followed the GPS. I knew I should have gone right. It's that intuition.
Yes.
So it's that big beautiful bowl, round bowl of soup. Let's get a balance of everything.
And I mean, it's just incredible. You've got such an incredible talent, but trusting yourself and not worrying about going back to the intuition and not worrying, obviously from a cultural perspective alone, it was very challenging for you.
Yes. But I think it's everybody's intuition. We do doubt ourselves, but really, I look at children because I specialize with children and their personalities as well from looking inside their body. Children straight away say, no, don't give me egg. And so the way they can't communicate, so they have a skin rash to say, don't give me egg. But then as humans, we're taught to go, oh my God, we're going to worry. And what? Whereas it's like, oh, the child doesn't want egg. Okay. So they've had a reaction. Don't have egg. No problem. So quite easy. Really, it's quite easy.
Yes. Children, are wonderful little beings. I'm just thinking, my God, this is so incredible, but how could you possibly put this into some sort of teaching and training modality? And I've got another question. And I can't stop. Just got to ask, this is wonderful that you can see potential issues or disease within the body, but how do you fix it?
Great.
But that's a whole episode. Well, no, I'm just so excited.
Can we play? Can we play? So I'm going to use, for example, I've got them just in case, because a lot of people think, all right, so you know that, but because we're taught in lifestyle, not just health, if you've got a problem, take what I call Panadol. And I'll just let you know, I was a drug dealer. When I was nursing, I was a drug dealer because I used to walk around with my drug trolley, all my pockets filled with Panadol, walking around on the ward. Panadol. It was that instant fix. If you've got pain, take a Panadol. Now, I'm not any analgesic. It's like, you've got that, fix it, which is almost like suppressing it. When people have a temperature, children, adults, we give them usually Panadol to bring the temperature down. But if we have a temperature, the body's actually cooking out the infection, say even just basic tonsillitis. Itis is inflammation. It's just cooking it out to actually rebuild its own immune system. And that's the idea of immunization. I know that's such a wobbly topic, but I'll just share. When we get immunized, we give someone German measles to build immunization to it. I'm not saying to do it or not to do it, but
it's a very controversial topic. I will publicly say I have not been immunized myself at all. So I had very alternative parents.
I haven't immunized my children. I was to a certain point when we arrived in Australia, not in my agriculture. We didn't have it. So going back to how do we fix it? We're taught Panadol it. Do that quick chop fix. And it was Plato who said to cure is to alleviate immediate pain. So chop off the leg, but you still get phantom pain. Give a Panadol. It brings the temperature down, but there's something else. Whereas to heal is to make whole and complete, which means find out why did we create that in the first place. So
I love that. Can I do a Greek quote as well that just came to me?
Yes,
Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Yes, love it.
Just saying, sorry to interrupt you. I just had to put it out there. Please go on.
I'm going to use the medical intuitive cards, for example.
Wow.
So they're oracle cards.
Amazing.
So let's just, I'm not going to shuffle. I'm just going to randomly go to, just go. So this one, which is.
Then I'm thinking, oh my God, does that relate to me?
Well, does it relate to you, me, the listeners? You know, who is it? Let's say everybody. So in quantum reality, when I teach it, I say, if the liver comes up, it's not just the client, it's the practitioner, it's their children, it's your dog, it's everything. And the liver, love the liver. I think the liver is more important than the brain because this is your organizer and planner. It's where we hold anger. Emotions is critical for the anatomy and as well. It's your processing. It's about feeling disempowered, impotent, sexually, or just feeling disempowered. So how would I fix it? It wouldn't be. So Dr. Blogs, he says, Jean, you've got a fatty liver. What on earth is a fatty liver? So everyone pictures this liver with a whole heap of fat on. A fatty liver doesn't actually explain it. It just says the liver's not functioning properly. great. What do I do? Get off all the fats. That's not actually true. It could be emotionally that I just am so angry that my life hasn't been organized and planned to the way I wanted it. I had these strict plans. This is the liver. And I get angry because it didn't work. And then I'm going to blame my husband, Frank. We're just making up names. It's his fault. And that gives me fatty liver, or the blood results of fatty liver. So I need to look at the bigger picture, the story of, well, what's going on. So Jean, talk to me. Just give me a 10-minute conversation of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks. And that liver will start to talk. The person, liver, will talk. And when they share that, the liver starts to say, oh, right, you're starting to listen to me now? Right. And it actually starts to change chemically and physiologically. And then it might be, oh, and by the way, Jean, Dr. Bloggs, I've been craving lemon water. Well, what clears the liver? Lemon water. So there's that intuition. So we don't fix anything. What we do is we get everything aligned, that we listen back to the body parts. And it might be that it didn't come up as liver. It might have been you stubbed your left big toe. Well, what does that mean? And then each of the body parts comes along and says, let's work in together to make it not working for you. Does that make sense?
It does. And for people that are watching, Jean's holding up a liver card. Is that what it looks like to you, what people's bodies look like to you, out of interest?
Oh, so I got my graphic designer to make a beautiful magenta purple androgynous person, because the body doesn't know if it's male or female. So when I've worked, I don't work with clients anymore one-on-one after 25 years. I only teach it and write about it and things. But if I had a female, sometimes testes would come up, or male ovaries would come up, or uterus. The body doesn't actually know if it's male or female. Now that also links to the quantum of, is it past life? Is it future? No time zone. So it's a neutral body for all of my teaching on the oracle cards. But when the liver actually looks like that, metaphysically and physically. It's just we've been trained to see it purple or dark maroon color as well.
And this is how you teach. So if people, obviously have health issues or interested in the work that they do, you have practitioners that work for you, that you've trained.
Absolutely. They don't work for me. They're qualified, trained, accredited, so that they can go and do one-on-one, or I say, oh my gosh, come and learn it yourself and look into your own body.
Okay. Gosh, I mean, a lot.
The fixing it goes back to lifestyle, totally lifestyle. But I always want to know what the story is. And when you talk to people, that first 10 minutes, people share their stories. I'll give you an example of.
I'd love that.
Let's pretend the person's called Gertrude. Gertrude says, oh, hi, Jean. I am absolutely livid because my children just won't do what I say. Every time I want them to go to bed, they start playing. So in each body consciousness, this is the adrenal glands, but in the body consciousness, I'm livid, so it's in the liver. So I'm not getting what I want to organize and plan, and I'm getting angry. The children won't do what I say, so I know it could be throat chakra, thyroid, parathyroid, because each body part has two jobs. So, for example, the pancreas organizes all the sugar aspect, but it's where the emotion of anxiety is held. It's about change and adapting. So I know if the person's not coping with change or adapting to change, they'll crave more sugar. So it's just marrying like the physical, metaphysical together. So you can actually hear people talk, and I'll go, oh, liver, gallbladder, spleen, vitamin B, but people speak it, but unconsciously. And when people learn this, they can hear liver, gallbladder, left brain, right shoulder chakra. You can actually hear it. It's the most beautiful thing ever. And even speaking it, those body parts start to line up and go, oh, okay, you can relax now. You don't have to be sick now.
So you just mentioned the chakras. So can you see the chakras as well within the body? What do they look like?
So for me, I see two forms or three forms of chakras. There's the main 8 chakras. Most people talk about 7,
Yes.
but there's an 8th one here on the thymus gland, which is between the throat and heart. And they've got the primary colors of like root chakra, red, sacral, orange, but they're primal as in childlike, masculine. And then there's also the feminine aspect. So instead of red root, which is survival and anger, there's also the feminine, which is then a maroon. So get angry, but the feminine is be passionate. So like with the liver, which is where we hold anger, there's also anger in the root chakra. But if I take the anger, which I say to people, love the anger, you get passionate. So if you get angry, you get passionate.
Great word.
I'm going to get up and do that thing. Great. So there's then the 8 chakras turn into the softer colors. There's also chakras on what I call minor chakras. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth. So when people's eyesight go, it may not be their physical eyes, it could be the eye chakras, such as if someone has high expectations. Might be the ear chakra, that it's not that they can't hear or they're not being heard, it's that they're listening to their own negative self-talk. So it's actually the ear chakra which sits on top. And all the minor chakras are a goldy white color. And then there's extra chakras, such as when people talk about growing pains in children between the shins, there's that like a brownie color, which is the earth link chakra, where children don't know how to be here on earth. And the growing pain is, I'm going to grow up, because I see grown-ups being grumpy. So then they don't know how to connect with earth. So I see lots, I see auras, I see past lives. But when I'm describing them, I don't define it of, well, it's because it's in a past life. It's like a combination of everything. So yeah, when we cotton onto this in Western medicine, there'll be a quicker, more efficient way how to heal. Definitely quicker.
Just as you're talking, I don't know why, but I'm feeling like coughing.
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
So can I share? I'll be
sure.
general rather than...
I'll have a sip of water while you're talking.
Sometimes coughing can be grief for the person, like just coughing the grief out. It can be reaction response of, like, as I said, a quicker healing process. If somebody coughs, it could be of like, oh yeah, that's great. And it's like a response of, yes, let's get that done. Let's make it quicker. But again, I want to talk to the person just for that 10 minutes, what's their individual story, rather than when I was nursing, it was if you all had low blood pressure, you all went on the same medication, yes. And then we have to get a balance, and it took a long time. Where you have low blood pressure, it might be adrenal glands that not having enough water, not having enough sleep, your cortisol's high, and also you're just not motivated with life. So you keep wanting to faint. Really quick. That took like 2 seconds, but it's just having a chat with that person. That's the key, which doctors used to do. Doctors used to be able to do this. Have a chat with, oh, Mrs. Bloggs, how are you? How's the family? How's your dog? It was find out what's happening to them emotionally and mentally, yes. Then go physically.
Very interesting. And I, just as you're saying this, I really am of the belief, and I've done it myself, that, changing I've always been generally a healthy person, but changing your mindset really changes your life. Yes. I believe we create our reality. That's my belief.
Totally. I just say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just another question, talking about dis-ease or sickness. A while ago, I just wanted your opinion on this, or for other people in general. Not during this virus time, but, a couple of months and months ago, I got really sick, but not sick, but, vomiting and diarrhea. It was, just that sort of sick. And I've just had this intuitive, I didn't worry about it because I had this intuitive knowledge that my body was being upgraded.
Yes. And it is, I tell you, even though we're on different sides of the country, I could just give you the biggest squeezy hug, because it is. When we have No, we use the word sick because that's what people.
Yes.
I was sick.
But
Or,
perhaps that was the wrong terminology.
no, it's great because that's a very general thing. People say, "Oh, I was sick last week." So whether it be vomiting, a migraine, stub their toe, whatever it is an upgrade. So back to the patterning. What's our patterning that I've then created, which is our reality, etc. Diabetes. Why did I create that? If we go back to that beginning of, I was sick, the upgrade of getting diabetes or diagnosed as diabetes, the upgrade is, why don't you change your lifestyle? So diabetes is not coping with change, whether it's juvenile, whether it's born, whether it's onset, whether it's elderly, whether it's obese, diabetes, not coping with change. What if the upgrade was as you spiked into diabetes or whatever it was? Why don't you upgrade of you design your destiny so that you can cope with the change? So I do believe dis-ease, that's why it's a gift of,
Yes.
and that's why I say, oh my God, that's fantastic that you were sick, Louisa. You vomited.
You can call it a complete elimination. I literally lay in bed for about I just lay there. I just couldn't, I just lay there and I was vomiting and all the other terrible, not the best things, but I kind of was happy because I knew that, I don't know, I could just almost the cells in my body were upgrading. That's the only word I can think of.
Perfect. Upgrade, ascension, redefining, all of that,
yes.
all of the beautiful words, which is, I probably simplify it and I'll say to people, it's all of that. It's called a wake up. So whether it be, coronavirus, what if that was a wake up? Whether it be, cancer, whether it be loss of job. That's why I say dis-ease doesn't have to be cancers and things like that. Dis-ease could be, I'm always running late. That's the pineal gland. I just never could see the bigger picture. Pituitary. I never get time to myself. Thyroid. So it's always an upgrade or an awakening of stop. Let's take a moment. And, certain times we have certain diseases or diseases are trendy. So we used to have a really bad disease a long, long, long time ago. It was called the plague, which we now call common cold. And the song, Ring a Ring of Roses, a pocket full of posies. A tissue will fall down. People forget that a ring of roses, they used to put roses, a row of roses outside somebody's house if they had the common cold, because they'd die. A pocket full of posies, which is a tissue. A tissue, wipe your nose, sniff, sniff. We all fall down as they drop dead. So it was an awakening, and we've gone from the common cold to like corona. Corona is just another wake up. Having worked with coronavirus,
a massive wake up, isn't it?
Oh well, see, this is why I get a bit crazy, Louisa.
Oh, I love we love crazy at Passion Harvest.
I've worked with corona in pathology. This is corona 19. Like I worked with other ones, and it just keeps mutating to say, wake up, wake up. And corona means a cycle or circle. So what's the cycle? Let's change the cycle. Wake up. Wake up.
Yeah,
so that was like an upgrade.
Look, very, very interesting. That kind of segues me into what you mentioned previously. Some people have dis-ease and they unfortunately die from it. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to use the term. But you said if they do pass, it has an incredible teaching or healing from their family or the friends or the people that are surrounding them. So do you mind just explaining that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So I would get everyone to imagine a set of dominoes, and you're going to stack them up where they all line together. So it's like when you touch one end of the dominoes, it hits the other one, hits the other one, hits the other one. So it's got that real type effect. So we'll go back to Gertrude. All my female examples are always Gertrude. All my males are Frank. And so Gertrude has got blue disease. We'll even change what it is. She's got blue disease, and she lets her family know, which is the next domino, who lets friends know what's the next domino. And everything is tried for Gertrude, from Western medicine to beautiful alternative, to diet, to coffee enemas, to Gerson therapy, to, you know, everything she's tried to be, but she dies of blue disease. What we don't understand yet in our belief system, some cultures do, is when she dies, she's actually gifting us to see a bigger picture, and that there's a bigger knowing that it's only the body has died, her essence is always around. So we've got things like, you know, we can look at photos and videos and reflect and keep letters and that sort of thing. But when Gertrude died, it allows other people to actually blossom. So an example, and I've learned it personally. So when my mum died, it was actually a blessing in disguise. At home, it was very, what I call colourful. There was extreme violence, extreme. So quite often I'd wake up with blood dripping on my face because my dad had a knife at my mum's neck, and many times she tried to run away, but he would hunt us down, and she didn't know what to do. She kept going back, and in those days they didn't have the services that they do now. So for her, it was actually a sense of peace of, I go. This is, I don't know what to do. I need to go. So for me, it was, when she died, I was lost. I was homeless, but it was a blessing because then I didn't see my dad. But it gifted me the opportunity to learn life, really learn life. If she had stayed, I don't think I would have been the person that I am today. That it was, gave me opportunities to stop the cultural things, because I didn't have anyone that I felt I had to people please or go back to their cycles, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It gave my mother's mum a blessing. Like, she strongly believed in God, but she said, how could God take her daughter? It took her a couple of years, but she understood that it was a blessing for her as well, because I could actually see her more, because my dad wasn't in the picture. So sometimes we can't see the immediate blessing. It is in that third dimension time zone that when someone does go, there's a bigger picture. And that sometimes, especially suicide, having been suicidal myself, or when people say, I don't know, why did they take their life? One beautiful client, we'll call her Gertrude, a nurse. On Mother's Day, about 5 years ago, she opened the curtains to her patio, and as she opened them to open up the fly screen door, etc., her son was hanging on Mother's Day. He was 18. And she just took it so personally. Why didn't she see what was going on? He'd just broken up with his girlfriend, so he had loss and pain. He didn't know how to deal with the emotional care. So the quickest and easiest way to deal with the loss was to take his life. But he wasn't aware of, when he did that, he'd create loss for anyone else. After about 3 sessions of medical intuition, Mum was able to come to a resolution of that bigger pain, understanding he was in pain. He hasn't done anything to her. It wasn't her fault. And she felt the presence of her son around all the time. So every Mother's Day, we always connect just via text, because I became quite close to that client. But she just says every day, and especially Mother's Day, thank you to her son for bringing that blessing. So sometimes we don't understand, where some cultures, they do the most beautiful ceremonies of death, and understand that there's a part there, there's a gift in it. There's a beautiful gift.
I think the Native American Indians also talk about there's a death blessing when someone passes as well.
Yes, and past lives, like Atlantis, they had beautiful ceremonies. Or the Maoris, oh my gosh, when they do that, oh, I've got goosebumps.
Me too.
Haka and the singing and the, you know, the oh, I'm going to cry. The whole ceremony. Or Buddhist monks and nuns, they know intuitively when they're going to die, and so do the other nuns or monks. They prep themselves, and the monks will take that monk to a tree with some food, some water, some blankets, leave them, and then they go back after a few days to go collect the body. So the person actually gets to pass over in a beautiful state. And I think, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I learned some of that too when I was nursing. I delved into palliation to understand, again, medical intuition, what's going on when they die. Let's have a look at the body. What's happening? Is the soul left? Is the soul even in there? What's happening? And when I was nursing, I'd look at the patient and I think, they're gone. Oh, there you are. And I'd be like talking to the person.
So you can see the soul leaving the body?
Yes. There's just this absolute peace in the body of, right, that experience of cancer and back pain or whatever, that's done. That's just an experience. Total experience.
And then I guess the other question, well, I've got so many questions, but I can't ask them all, but that also asks the question of people that have near-death experiences come back to the body.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
So from working with the bodies medically, when I've had to resuscitate them, when I volunteered for state emergency service where we used to use the doors of life and used to see quite horrific things or emergency as well as this sort of work. Sometimes, there's multiple explanations, and there is a gorgeous psychologist. He wrote a book, Journey of Souls, I think. I've forgotten his name.
I'll find it. I'll put a link in the show.
Yeah, Journey of Souls. It was just beautiful. I must have been 18 or 19 when I read it, but his version was beautiful as well. But sometimes people's wake up may not be through a cancer, job loss, whatever. They need to access that quantum soup in another form to have a realization of, actually, I don't want to leave it. I want to go back in and redesign my life or reconnect to the family, or maybe it's something they need to go out. I call it out there, but it's not. Go to another space or dimension to get an insight to bring it back in. And when we've done the sessions or when I've talked to patients, I've actually been quite bold and say, do you actually need to do that? Do you need to put yourself through that space? Or why not just, be sitting at the beach in a meditation and do it then, without the trauma of in and out. Oh, yeah. So, quite often it's a way of accessing pulling the tomato for the soup down into them. But we don't have to make it that way. That's an
extreme scenario.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And
but it's a nice way to explain it.
Yes. And it depends on the personality. They might like extreme adventures. Or another person, say, is Brian DeFlores. These are names that I heard of a few years ago. Brian DeFlores, who was a truck driver who didn't believe any of this sort of stuff, and he loved this pie and chocolate milk type thing, and had an accident and woke up one day and was drawing all this beautiful language of light on the walls, and looked at it and went, who did that? What you did? What? And it took him from truck driver, this way of being, to this way of being, which was actually integrating physical and metaphysical. To me, it's always doing the both, not just one way. So yeah, some people like to have different journeys.
Fabulous answer. I love that. And I guess one of my final questions is, so when you see people and the auras and the bodies and the chakras, are you having a higher guidance that you know of?
Great. Yes, no. My favorite answer, yes, no.
Okay. I love that answer. It means nothing and everything.
So there is higher guidance, but I actually, through the process of becoming a medical intuitive practitioner, you actually understand not to actually say it is the higher guidance. They're there. I call them all dudes because of the angels, guides, beings. They're all, to me, all dudes.
And you can see all
of them. And sometimes I don't know what their name is. It's a sound, it's a color, it's an actual physical thing. That by saying, when you play with the quantum, by saying I channeled Archangel Frank.
Okay, well, back to Frank or Gertrude.
Yes, it actually disconnects us from our own wisdom, that we don't have to channel it from them. They're there to support us, be with us, that you can access it as well. So do I get it directly from what I call the absolute, which is everything? I get it direct. So that's why I say I'm not clairvoyant, clairsentient, or get messages. It will be straight out, Louisa, bang, here it is, which can be very confronting for people because they're used to, my guide has told me. That's still all there as well. But I also say you can access it straight and have all of the amazing embodiment of everything there as well. So I don't always say in your aura is this, in the chakras that, it's just here's the info. If people ask, I can say, oh, look, yeah, there's actually a red Indian here, it's from here. But I don't tend to say, unless the person asks, to me, it's just everything is right there. Let's access everything, which is corona, everything, cycle, medical, whole and complete. Let's get that thing and alchemize it, flick the switch so that it's working with you, not against you.
This is just absolutely fascinating.
It's fun, isn't it?
I love it, but I also love your answer because it almost doesn't give your power away.
Yes, yes.
Which I really like.
Sometimes power away. I've heard people when they've done psychic development courses of, I couldn't see my guide, I failed, or I can't open my third eye. Your third eye has never been closed. Nothing ever is closed. Everything's there. It's just, you've got to learn to drive the bus. How do you learn to drive the bus?
Patience.
Fun.
Silence.
Sometimes not even silence. Sometimes put on AC/DC and sing whatever AC/DC is. I don't know what they're singing. But sometimes it's just be in that moment, whether it's dancing, yoga, silence, eating my silence can be eating a mango. Oh my gosh, that is silence for me.
That's a beautiful way to express it. I love that. I have to ask the question, is there anything you need to tell me?
Anything? With your body?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask.
Or soul or spirit, or if
yeah. I just say body because it's a physical.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
For me, it's really important. One of the things that I learned, it was such a beautiful grounding having nursing, was confidentiality, privacy. So when people ask, I always ask permission, and I always will, in such a public forum, I'll actually only say things that are respectful, rather than going, oh my God, Louisa, you should see what's in your body. It's all about respect for the person.
Sure, okay.
So if you're okay, I'm just going to
I think it'll be really interesting for the audience as well. I'll be the dummy.
The dummy, okay. So let's go into, when I look, I dropped my eyes down instead of looking at you.
Yes.
I look to the side. It takes me away from the third dimension physicality. So what I did get was in your parathyroid on the right hand side, it is slightly low in its chemical pattern. That is, so the thyroid and parathyroid, they work together. There's beautiful knowledge. The thyroid area is about devotion to self. This is for everyone. Devotion to self, being your own best friend. But in here, it was a sense of feeling suffocated. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. I don't have time for myself. I've got to do that. I've got to do that. So there's a actual chemical part related to physical doingness. That's also relating to the pituitary. Yours is actually quite endocrine. So related to the pituitary, and the pituitary gland, so the estrogen levels are a little bit higher than normal. Progesterones are lower. Let's go. That's also affecting the adrenal glands a little bit. Depending on the cortisol levels, a little bit high. This isn't just from recent. I'm actually going from November last year. The body has got into a cycle. So just thinking about November last year, what was happening, what we were doing. It doesn't have to be major. It could be, I remember jumping a plane and then I was thing, or so just thinking about November last year.
Am I meant to answer you?
Yeah, if you
Oh,
want
okay.
to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, lots of interviews,
Yep.
working, juggling children and
Yep.
divorce and selling houses, and it
Right.
was just
Well,
a busy
that's
time.
thyroid, totally thyroid.
Okay.
And also just back to parathyroid, just that busyness of doing for everybody else. So the patterning started there. If I bring it back to now, okay, let's just go. So your body's taking you back to the pituitary and also the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is like the CEO of the endocrine system. It does the involuntary things like bowels opening, closing, temperature. So you possibly could have had symptoms like hot flushes, but it's not menopause. Just every now and again, it's like a bit hot, or just got to stay for a moment, or a little bit of dizziness. It's the hypothalamus, pituitary, parathyroid, and endocrine. In that balance, I'm just looking at the chemical aspect. I legally can't diagnose, prescribe, treat, do all those things,
Okay.
but I can offer information of. You could possibly just have a look at just a chemical aspect, like either naturopath or homeopath, just to balance out the homeopathic, balance out the hypothalamus, which is affecting those four main endocrine. That will then support the parathyroid. We're just going to go sideways for a moment, which is just in your skeletal system. So just the is affecting the calcium levels of your body. Which, have you been craving any greens, like spinach or any of that sort of stuff?
I like vegetables. Yes.
No, craving.
No.
Have you had any headaches?
I actually had one a few days ago.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is the copper levels. So now we're going into the chemical thing.
Generally, I don't have headaches though.
Yeah. So the copper levels are a little bit off. And sometimes people will crave greens, and greens are not the best thing to have when all this chemical aspect is happening. So, and then that's affecting the absorption of calcium as well, which is then affecting the adrenal. So this is where my nursing comes in, that I can look but quantify. So then the result would be then saying, yeah, I would look at possibly a naturopath of balancing the hypothalamus for progesterone and copper. And she might make a remedy. She might offer food or nutrition, because this isn't a proper consult. Sometimes food and nutrition would come up in a consult as well. But that's the immediate thing that comes up.
Very interesting.
I think. Does that give you a good example? So it can get quite detailed.
Yes.
With it.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and then the end result is going back to, because it's done in the parathyroid, of the body's actually wanting, once you resolve the chemical, could you start making a lifestyle, instead of the pattern of November, lifestyle of putting yourself first. Every activity, thyroid, parathyroid, every activity you do first is you. So first in the morning, once you empty your bladder, go and do your meditation, journal, do something, whatever it is.
I'm pretty good at that.
The body hasn't got that pattern.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, once you start, just keep everything in the flow of your activity. Does that help?
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
That was great. And that was just, it's incredible how, I mean, I don't know what all the terminology is you're using, but, such knowledge you have in such detail, and I'm sure it would go on and on, but, it was very, very interesting.
Thank you so much.
In the interest of time, is there something you'd specifically like to talk to our audience about?
Probably, I think just the insight that the body's always talking, no matter what happens in our life, physically, chemically, emotionally, mentally, all of that it is a gift. And if we could just take a moment to just reflect whatever's going on, And the first answer be, thank you so much, job loss, cancer, snotty nose, children playing up, whatever it is, just thank you. This is an opportunity for me to redesign my destiny. And instead of it then locking into the body, that, yeah, it's just an opportunity of your health is your wealth. Make yourself as a priority always. I think that's the main thing. And that when bad things happen, they're not really bad, or disease happens. Thank you so much, body, for talking. I have no idea what you mean, but I know there'll be an answer and solution to support me always.
Beautiful. Health is your wealth. I love that one as well. And obviously, for anyone that's listening or watching this interview, Jean's, all your details will be in the show notes. I just like to ask the guest, and I know you can't always advise, but if someone's looking to follow their passion, since this is a show about passion,
yes,
and they might be too fearful or they're just unsure, what is your advice?
Jump. Just jump.
I love it.
And
amazing.
That passion. This is my passion. It was my natural gift as a child. I suppressed it to the point of suicidal. Instead of getting to that point where you live your best life, just jump. If you really love the idea of making chocolate cake, or the idea of making, there's a company called What the Crap, or Who's the Crap, or Who Gives a Crap, or
is
something.
Is it the toilet paper?
Yes.
I've heard of them.
I love them. They've run out with coronavirus stuff, but they had a passion to help the community. 50% of their profit goes to a third world country. The people that make the toilet paper, tissues and paper towel didn't have sanitary. So with the money that goes back to them, they make the paper. They now have sanitary, as in toilets. Their passion is quirky. They're computer nerds that know how to have a sense of humor, great marketing programs, but they wanted to give back. They jump before they're ready with a quirky name of Who Gives a Crap, or What the Crap. I forgot.
Yes, I'll look it up.
When you open the toilet roll, there's jokes on the paper outside. When you open the boxes, it says, "Dear Mr. Postman, thank you so much." On the other side of the box, it says, "You have a nice bum." Just jump before you're ready. Don't worry about appearances. Go for it. Because that's what people will tune into, is your passion. And just jump for it.
Jean Sheehan, what a beautiful way to end the show. Thank you so much for being on Passion Harvest. I really appreciate everything you've told me, and I'm going to go back and listen to it. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for having this.
Pleasure.
What a delicious thing for people to be in touch with their passion. Spread your wings with it more, Louise. I love it. Love it.
Thank you so much. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.